Most people think that to burn more body fat, you need to do more cardio, and that simply isn't true. You don't need to do more cardio. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do cardio. I'm saying that you don't have to do cardio to lose more body fat. Most of you know that you need to eat in a calorie deficit if you want to lose body fat, but let's talk about some ways that we can burn more calories, get in a further calorie deficit without doing more cardio or restricting calories even further. Tip number 1 is to eat more protein. When you eat more protein, it takes your body longer to digest that protein, and that requires more work, more energy expenditure to digest that protein. I typically recommend to take your body weight in pounds multiplied by 1 and eat that many grams of protein per day. You can certainly go over this, especially if you're happy with eating less carbohydrates. You can up your protein further and still eat in a calorie deficit. Whether it's grass-fed, grass-finished beef or pasture-raised eggs or chicken, they're all good sources of protein. I do also have a video that I will link at the end of this video where I talk about the best proteins, fats and carbohydrates so that you can include those in your nutrition plan. If you was to eat more carbs and sugars instead of more protein, you wouldn't get that same thermogenic effect. Tip number 2 is sort of the same as tip number 1, and that is to increase your fat intake. This way you're going to be fuller for longer, which is also another benefit of protein, is you'll be more full, but it's the same concept of fat takes longer to break down. So in reality, what we're doing is eating more proteins, more fats and less carbohydrates. There's nothing wrong with carbohydrates, but once again, if you eat more carbs, it's not going to keep you full. It's not going to take long for your body to process and to break down carbohydrates. Whereas with proteins and fats, it's a longer process and it requires more energy to do so. So increase the fats and the proteins. Tip number 3 to burn more calories without doing more cardio is to work out with weights. And if you already do weight training, then these are the benefits of that and it's really good to know. But if not, you need to start weight training. And the reason is because the bigger your muscles are, the more calories, the more nutrients those muscles need.
Oh my God! Wow!
So a bigger muscle will require more calories, which means you're going to burn more energy off. Also, when you're training with weight, not only does that muscle need more calories because it's just bigger in size, but also when you're consistently working out with weights, that muscle will need more calories to regrow and to repair. Because if you're damaging muscle fibers in the gym, that means you're going to need more calories for that muscle to recover and to regrow. So those 2 reasons are why you should start weight training. If you want to get into weight training and you're not sure how, or you are already weight training but you're not quite sure what you're doing 100%, you don't have a clear plan, then you can click the first link in the description and that's going to give you a full workout plan laid out as a beginner for you to do a full body workout with weights. I can't remember exactly what page it's on. The whole book is worth a read. It's only around 30 pages long. It's a beginner's guide. It's sort of halfway through the book. It's going to be a table with a workout plan so that you can get started, and that's 100% free. It won't cost you anything. I will give you a word of warning. I did write that up quite quickly, so there's definitely a few typos on there, but the information and the content is what's most important.
It's like dyslexia. They couldn't have made it a more difficult word to fucking spell, could they? Some bloke sat there one day and went, I put an X in there, fuck 'em.
Tip number 4 is to drink more water. Every process in the body requires water. Everything. So if you're not hydrated, which most people are not fully hydrated, everything's going to be slower, everything's going to be more difficult for your body to do. So not only is everything working better when you're hydrated, also drinking cold water requires energy because your body will have to heat that water up. That requires energy to do so. And when I'm talking about drinking more water, I mean 90% of the liquid you drink should be actual water. Not pop or Diet Coca-Cola or anything else. It should be 90% water. If you do want to drink maybe one Diet Coke or Diet Pop every day, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to your health. But I've seen other people recommending any fluid, and yes, that might burn more calories, but it's really bad advice telling people to drink less water and drink more pop. Or even telling someone to drink 50-50 is still bad advice. Most of your fluid should be actual water. Tip number 5 is to eat less meals throughout the day. Greg Doucette actually did a video on this topic, the same topic I'm talking about. In fact, that's where I got this video idea from, so shout out to him. And just to say, I do actually like Greg, I think he's a good coach, but in my opinion, he is wrong on this last point.
Isn't that a daisy?
Son of a bitch, you damn bitch. Try to eat a little bit more often. If you're doing an intermittent fasting diet, or if you're on OMAD, you're only eating once or twice a day, or you're fasting all the time, try to eat more meals. Eating more often throughout the day will help to keep ghrelin at bay.
In his video, he actually says that you want to eat more frequently, so maybe 4 to 5 times a day. The problem is when you do that, you spike insulin. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. The more times you eat, the more times you spike insulin. And insulin, because it's an anabolic hormone, it will grow your fat cells. So you will actually burn less calories if you're eating 4 to 5 meals a day. His argument is that you keep ghrelin at bay. That's basically your hunger hormone. And I do understand where he's coming from, that every time ghrelin comes in, you eat a meal and it sort of goes away. That is true, but I don't think he's taking into account the fact of the insulin spikes. So what I would recommend doing is eat 2 to 3 meals per day.
You see, it's much smaller, isn't it?
I also do recommend intermittent fasting, but you don't have to do intermittent fasting. Still 2 to 3 meals per day. It means you're going to have lower insulin levels, and that means that you're going to be burning more body fat than if you was eating 4 to 5 meals a day. Also, you're going to have more proteins and fats in those meals, which will keep ghrelin, the hunger hormone, away anyway, because you're eating higher amounts of proteins and fats, which fill you up. One thing I do want to add is we don't always need to get caught up in the details, like really does it matter if you eat 3 meals a day or 5 meals a day? The answer is no, it doesn't really make a big difference, but it's my job to give you the best case scenario, the best possible scenario, and then it's your job to test out what you think is the best thing to do for your body. For you, you may enjoy 4 to 5 smaller meals a day. And if you do, I'm telling you that 3 meals a day is better, but will 5 meals a day destroy all of your progress? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you on paper what is the best thing to do, and you can adjust how you want to set your nutrition up from there. It doesn't have to be perfectly everything that I say, and if you don't do that, then you're doing things incorrectly.